I've had a very big anger control problem. I hate being, if there's one thing I hate, it's when people laugh at me. You know, not laughing with me, laughing at me. I hate that. It brings up rage to the point where I'll black out and I will hurt somebody. I don't know. I don't really want to go too deep in on that one, but I just...
You say blackout.
When I say blackout, I mean like get to the point where you don't like see red or anything like that. You're to the point where you start to do something because you're so angry and your veins are pounding and everything going crazy and you're sweating. And then you wake up, you look around and you're like, how the hell did I get here? Then you're walking down the street and you got blood on your hands and you're thinking, what the hell just happened? I got into a fight with a certain person and I don't even know what happened. I don't have anything to go on. My hands were covered with blood and I was walking away. I mean, I know who I was in the fight with and they're fine now. You know, I didn't kill them or anything, but I don't know what happened between the point where I got so angry to the point where I was walking away and I was crying. I was crying because I was so angry. And I don't know.
Weapons, I'm saying mega weapons. All different kinds of weapons. Like Uzis and 9mm, handguns, all types of things. Grenades. I seen one of them. That's all. One time I seen one. I seen a lot of weapons. I seen weapons being used all the time.
Like?
I seen my friend Charles die from like a bullet to the head. I was standing right next to him. We was up at McDonald's. We went up there to start fights. That was the gang stuff. Went up there to start a fight with somebody, and I was just about to run around the corner when I heard some gunshots ring out. And I seen my boy just, like, the bullet just knocked his teeth out the front of his mouth. And he just fell to the ground. I seen him just lay there and shake. He was dead.
You were right there.
I was standing right there just looking at him. I still remember him, everything about him.
What happened?
The guy, I mean, we went up there to fight, so the guy came out the side door, and we ran around. We was gonna run around the corner to get him. My friend Charles, he was before me, and the guy he knew he was coming to get him or something, and he just upped his gun and started shooting, and that was it.
My friend, we was just playing around, and there was this girl. She had a pack of cigarettes, and my friend wanted one. She's like, "Toya, go ask her, can I have a cigarette?" I went up to her. I said, "My girl wanted to know if she can have a cigarette from me." She was like, "Nah," and she called me out my name. I said, "Why I gotta be all that? Why I gotta be all that?" She was just like, "Gone, you little stupid, whatever," and she called me out my name again. I said, "Okay, I ain't gonna think nothing of it." And then we went to the store, and these boys that came in there was like, "Oh, I want to take that, I want to take that. She called you out your name, she called you this, she called you that." I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay." They was like, my friend, they was like, "We finna get her, we finna get her." And since at lunchtime it's real crowded, so we was just like ducking through the people, and we finally seen her. It was like, there she go, there she go. She was by herself with her friends surrounded or whatever, and we just ducked through the people, walking through the crowd. We just came up to her and just straight snapped on her, just beat her, and then walked away.
I see that. I remember this one day I wanted to get high. There was this kid I didn't like. Because he listened to heavy metal music. I didn't like him. He had long hair, and I had long hair too, but his was long and his was dirty. He wore a leather jacket and this and that. All these things I didn't like about him. I heard he had some money. Some teacher said that, he's got this and that, and so then I saw him walk outside at lunchtime. So I followed him. I said, I asked him, I said, can I get a couple $dollars from me? I said no. I knew he had money. You know, he told me he didn't have no money. You know, right there, you know, my anger, you know, I snapped right on him. You know, I hit him. I started choking him. I pushed him against the wall. You know, I hit his head against the wall. You know, I took my hand and I just pushed his head against the wall. You know, and I just started hitting him and stuff like that. You know, and then I reached in his pockets. You know, I said, "So where's your money?" You know, and he didn't. I was 35 cents.
Being in high school, I've known so many people that have been raped by somebody they know, either on a date, at a party, and most of the people I know have been sober too, which is kind of scary. And I think it happens a lot, but it's not ever talked about at all. Because I know all of my friends, even including I, have been date raped, and it's never talked about, ever. And it's something that I think it doesn't bother us because we know the person, but it should. I think it's not bothering people my age enough because they think, well, I know the person. My freshman year, I went on a double date with these two guys that were just graduated. It was the end of my freshman year. It was right after school and I got out. And I was date raped that night. And it was scary. It wasn't scary because the next day I thought, well, hey, I was a freshman. I was naive. I had never had sex before, never had a sexual relationship. It's like, well, maybe he really likes me type thing. So, and I was kind of like, he's a jerk. Now I realize it more. And I think that's what's happened with a lot of girls my age, that it's that type of date rape. It's not really a violent type.
Basically intimidated by an older guy.
Yep. And where they say no, no, and then...
So you lost your virginity on a date rape?
Yep. I lost my virginity on a date rape.
Racism between white people and Indian people in general on the res, because it's just you have those people, you know, set so close together, and with so much, you know, ancestral hatred, that it just, you know, temperatures ignite. You know, I guess you could say. It's volatile. It's a volatile situation there now.
And you said dangerous going to school or on the bus. What was dangerous?
Oh, well, because on the bus, they all the Indian kids had to sit up front, and all the big white kids, because my school bus consisted of everybody from kindergarten to 12th grade, and all the big white kids would sit at the back of the bus. Most of the white kids were 16, 17, or 18, and it was dangerous because, you know, if they had been drinking, white kids drink there too, you know. The white kids had been drinking before they came to school. They would terrorize all the Indian kids on the bus. I remember a friend of mine, he got stabbed in the throat, and he subsequently bled to death before he even got to a hospital. So it was dangerous.
Did that happen on the bus?
Yeah, on the bus. A 15-year-old high schooler, 9th grader, had stabbed him when he was 6, kindergarten.
What was the best time that you ever had high?
I don't remember.
And one time it was really, or one period of being high that was a good.
The first couple months when I did cocaine, I think that was the best. Supposedly the best. Because you're on top of the world. And it didn't scare me at all.
What were your activities like, your nightlife like that period?
We would
typical
just
Friday night?
just go out and cruise around and get high or go to parties and get in fights. It was always cool to get in a fight.
Get in fights?
Yeah.
Girls and boys?
Girls and girls.
Girls and girls.
Yeah, because then you were tough and, you know, you could get her boyfriend or whatever the stupid thing was that week.
So you got in fights with other girls?
I got in a lot of fights with other girls. Usually lost. I was too high to know what I was doing.
I never really owned a weapon on my own because I used to like fighting with my hands, so that's what really excited me, you know. Just sit out there, duke it out or something. When they started getting into the guns and everything, I started trying to stay away from. I had easy access to guns, but I never used to keep any in my house.
How old were you when your friend friend was killed?
I believe I was 15 years old. It was like he was in 8th grade and I was in 7th grade. And yeah, I was 15 years old. And he was like, I'm not coming to school tomorrow. I'm not coming to school tomorrow. He was right. Yeah, it had a major effect on me because I was trying to swear up and down that he wasn't dead. And everybody was telling me he is dead, he is dead. I'm like, no, he ain't dead. And I still be thinking about that. I'll be like, man, how can that just happen? How can he just get killed right there next to me and stuff? I just can't believe it.
Could have been you.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, it could have been me because I was right behind him, finna run around the corner, and here come the bullets, and I was just lucky not to step from around that corner when the bullet hit him.
No other people have been killed in gang violence?
Well, yeah, a lot of people. Some I knew, some I didn't know. Some I just seen on the street one day, and the next day they was gone because of gang violence.
Like I said, it wasn't her boyfriend. It was the guy she grew up with, family that she grew up with in Carroll, Illinois. This older guy used to come over in between the ages of 11 and 14 again in Beloit. Basically, she told me stuff like, well, you know, you should be nice to, you know, this person because, you know, he really likes you and he's just looking out for you. He only wants the best for you. And, you know, he'll give you anything you want and stuff like that, she'd tell me, you know. And, like, he'd give her money to go to the store, and as soon as she'd leave, he'd be right in my bedroom and stuff, you know.
It sounds like she knew what was going on.
Oh, yeah. There was one incident that I knew that she, you know, for sure. If she didn't before, she knew what was going on.
Did you ever address that with her, or what?
Yeah, I did. It was last year. That was how basically that I started living with the lady, because she was like, well, you know, what's wrong with your mother? You know, she's a good mother. She, you know, she's taking care of you, putting food on your table and all that stuff. And I was like, well, you just don't understand all the stuff that she's done in the past and stuff. And I just can't stay here anymore. I just can't stand and look at her anymore. And,
You were resentful about
yeah,
for a long time about
right. That she knew about it and just didn't care. And she was, as long as she was getting her money, she didn't matter to her. Like one time she asked me to have sex with this guy to get her car fixed, because he was a car mechanic. And she needed her car fixed, so she's like, well, it's not like you haven't done it before.
I fought quite a bit. When I wasn't fighting with somebody, you know, who I didn't know or didn't like, you know, I'd fight with my friends. And it was full contact, but it wasn't like out to kill. It was just out to really hurt, you know. I've been in quite a few situations where it's been like serious fights, like, you know, just large masses of people just kicking the shit out of each other. And that's scary. That's really scary. I remember times where I just pray while we were walking into it that the cops would show up so I didn't have to fight. Because it's not the point that I'm scared I'm gonna get beat up, because I'd love that, you know, not to get beat up, but just to not have to even fight, because I don't like causing harm, you know. I guess I feel sorry for a guy. If I'm kicking the hell out of him, I'll start to feel sorry for him, you know, because you know, he can't even get up. You know, he's bleeding and, you know, he's gasping for air. You start to feel sorry for him, and everybody else is just going crazy.
So you beat people up that badly?
And I've seen it happen. I've done it. I've been involved in it. It's not cool.
You said you went through a period in high school of getting into trouble.
Yeah, in my first 2 years of high school, I just, like, totally blew them away. In my freshman year, I think it was because I was hanging around the wrong people. In my freshman year I was on the drill team, and we was just performing at a Janesville Craig game. And the students from Janesville Craig are real rude, and my principal, Al Calusi, was trying to get them to calm down, but they wouldn't. And then one of my advisors, after we had performed, one of my advisors had calmed me down, and so the students from Janesville had to call my name. And when I came back, when the students were like, Toya, what'd your mommy want? And I was like, just shut up, don't mess with me. And then she was like, come say it to my face or something. So I got up and I walked to her, and I was like, girl, go on somewhere. And she pushed me, and we just started fighting. And the only thing that was on my mind was just trying to kill her. And then me and her were just fighting. And then some of my friends came and tried to pull her off me. When they pulled her off of me, her friends came and tried to get them, so it just got into a big fight. Like, everybody in the bleachers were fighting, and then I got pushed down. And I just looked up and seen everybody fighting. It looked crazy. Like, everybody was just going to break. Like, all the people were going to fall, and the bleachers were just going to break down.
Yeah, I really had a pretty good handle when things were going downhill in the relationship, and I sort of acted it out in other ways at school and stuff, and with I ended up forming my own drug problem right around that time, and just having a real hard time being really violent with other kids, physically violent, verbally, and also withdrawing. Well, after a while, it got to the point where I just didn't even want to be home anymore because it was always so crappy. My parents were always fighting and getting high and going out to the bars. And so it was like my home wasn't even a home anymore. But it was really unpredictable. After a couple of years into their marriage, things started really going downhill, and sometimes the littlest things would set him off, and I really didn't know what to expect. So, like I said before, it was like I was walking on eggshells.
When I was in 10th grade, I was still hanging with the same people from 9th grade, and the day before I got into this fight, my sister had came up to me and said that some girl had called her out her name. So I went to this girl. I was like, why'd you call my sister out her name? And she was like, don't worry about it. I'll call you out your name. And she got smart at the mouth. I said, listen here, I ain't got time for this. And I just started beating her. I just started whooping her until my friends pulled me off for her. And then I got suspended for that, plus a battery charge, and had to do some community service.
In 5th grade, I guess that's when my attitude really got out of hand. I started really enjoying fighting, and I used to get into a lot of fights. And a lot of guys that I used to fight soon became my friends. And that's when I became involved with the gangs in 5th grade when I was age 11. And from then on up, it was downhill.
Why did you get involved with the gang?
I got involved with the gangs because, like, as you got older, it was the bigger and bigger people you have to fight, the more and more people you have to fight. So I got involved with the gangs really for protection and you know, some companionship, I guess. I didn't start drugs and alcohol till like 2 years ago after I got out of juvenile correctional center. I started selling drugs, and next, you know, I started using them.
What age would that have been?
Age 15 is when I started all of that.
You didn't use drugs before that?
No.
Even when you were involved in the gang?
Right. I used to just stick with the gangs for fighting and the excitement of running around, beating up people, and getting shot at. But I started getting really depressed after I was incarcerated for that little time period. So I was in 2 juvenile detention centers. And the older I got, the harder it was for me to get money. And so I started selling drugs after I was released from the juvenile detention center so I could get money for clothing and everything else. I was in detention for batteries, mostly batteries. That's all, just fighting, getting into street fights, and getting caught. Got a record about as long as my leg on fighting.
You do?
Yes, I have a very tough record of fights, police records.
Intimidation. I get into it because a certain person or persons would be there and they would use their influence as a mafiosos or something to sort of like, you know, you ain't backing out on us, are you? You know, keep your loyalty. Because you know, what's worse, you know, it's one thing to see what happens to the guys that get beat up, but it's another thing to see what happens to the guys that didn't beat them up, you know? If you back out or something and show disloyalty, the people I used to hang out with would, you know, damn near lynch you. So fear of your life keeps you going.